Okay, so this is Geometry, Semester 1. This is the third unit called Area and Perimeter. It's the first lesson called Area and Perimeter of Squares, Rectangles Practice. It's on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab. And if you're Googling Creator Math, you might have to type in creatormath.weebly.com. The instructions are copy the following problems into your composition book on the correct pages according to the table of contents with the notes for those pages from creatormath.com. So before we get to the first problem here, which says given the following square with side length 3 units, what's the perimeter? All right, we're going to do perimeter. So we need some notes for this section. How do you find the notes for your comp book? You're going to go to creatormath.weebly.com. Here's what the home page looks like. When you see this, you're going to know you're on the right page, or at least website, I mean. Then you're going to click under Geometry to go to all the lessons and videos and vocab. For example, this right here, Vocabulary Geometry Practice Study PDF, has every vocabulary word for the whole year. So if you're taking one of those practices, just look it up on this PDF, and it will help you understand all the vocabulary. Next, we're going to go for the table of contents. Let's find the right semester here. And it looks out of order, and it may be by the time we're doing it, but it might be corrected by the time you're looking at it. So this is semester 1, Geometry Table of Contents. All of this should have been copied onto your pages 2 through 6 of your composition book long ago. If not, stop what you're doing and do it right now. Let's find this unit. This unit is area and perimeter. Here it is, and there's 1, 2, 3. Here are the lessons under it. We're on lesson number 1, area and perimeter of square and rectangles. It goes on these pages of your comp book. Don't look at this video for the page numbers. Please look at the original table of contents on creatormath.weebly.com. We're going to click Notes. This is what goes in your comp book on those pages. Fair warning, sometimes it takes me a couple tries to open it. This one opened on the first try. Notice you can enlarge it. All these notes go in your comp book under those pages. It's talking to you about what a square is, how to calculate perimeter, area. Perimeter is add up the length of the sides. Area is base times height. Talking about squares when we've got coordinate system on a Cartesian coordinate plane. All this gets copied into your comp book on the correct pages, and then the problems we're doing now will get copied in. It's talking about rectangle, length times width is how you find area. There's vocabulary. Length is distance, one-dimensional, 1D, unit to the 1 power. Area, two-dimensional, 2D, unit to the 2 power. Volume, three-dimensional, 3D, unit to the 3 power. Unit to the 1 power, 2 power, 3 power, depending if it's 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional, or 3-dimensional. Dimensions are horizontal, vertical, depth, length, width, height. Perimeter, the distance around a shape. 3 dots, you guys, means therefore. Look at this. This is a symbol. If you have 3 dots, it means therefore. What else? Some problems to put in your comp book and to solve if you can. And otherwise, let's continue with the problem set we have. So we want to find perimeter of this square that's given. They tell us it's a square. Squares have equal length sides, so all they have to do is tell you one length of a side. They're telling you it's 3 units. If this is 3 units, and units could be feet, meters, centimeters, any of the length units that we know of and use. All right, so if this is 3, what's the perimeter? We'll start here. You go 3, 6, 9, 12. The distance around is 12 units. Notice it is to the power 1 because this is a length or distance, which is one-dimensional, 1D. One-dimensional is to the power 1. When we get to area, you'll see it 2D, it'll be to the power 2. I didn't really understand all that when I was in high school doing perimeter and area, but at some point, maybe in college, I don't know, I just started to realize, oh, 1 dimension is length, 2 dimension is area, and 3 dimension is volume, or space. And once I sort of realized that, everything sort of clicked into place. I realize it's hard to get all that down, and I'm talking probably really fast, but if you understand that, it's going to help you a lot. Given the following square with side length 3 units. What's the area now? So this is 3 units. Just like above, we want area. Area is length times width, or base times height. Right? 2 dimensions. 1 dimension times the other. In this case, because it's a square, both side lengths are equal, so s times s, or s squared. So all we need for area is 3 units, and we're going to square it. Now, just because this is sort of an early unit on area, let's separate the two. 3 to the power 2 would be 3 squared, and units to the power 2 is units squared. And this is great because remember we said area is two-dimensional. We need units to the power 2. What is 3 squared? It is 9. 3 times 3. The power 2 just means take the base 3 and multiply it by itself that many times. So 3 times 3, 2 of them, 9. The units just come on down to the power 2. So 9 unit power 2. Remember, for me, all my answer choices are A. When you're watching this video, yours is going to be randomized. Given the following graph, what's the perimeter? So we're starting someplace. We're going around the shape in a length. So look, this is a Cartesian coordinate system. This is the origin, 0, 0. This is the x value here. We've gone 5 to the right and no up, 0 up, right? Because that's y. Remember the x comma y Cartesian coordinate location. Then we go here and we go up. So we didn't go out on the x anymore, but we did go up on the y, 5, 5. So we know this is 5. We know this is 5. Then here, this one out, how far? It goes from 0, 5 to 5, 5 on the x, changed 5. So this is 5 out. And we went from 0, 0 to 0, 5. So the y jumped to 5. This is 5 up. So we went 5, 10, 15, 20. That's our distance. And notice it's unit to the power 1. 20 units squared. This is perimeter. Remember when we switch to circles, the perimeter is called circumference, right? So it's perimeter with these shapes. Given the following graph, what is the area? All right, so area is space times height, or length times width. It doesn't matter what you call the two dimensions as long as you've got an x dimension and a y dimension. Two dimensions. This is the x-axis, right? And this is the y-axis. And that's what they define, 2 dimensions. So in this case, we already said this was 5 out and 5 up. The length here is 5, and the height's 5. So base times height, base, this could be 5, and height here. So we're going to say area equals 5 times 5. Each of these is a unit. So what we also have is unit times unit. And actually, it probably would have been better if I put a separate line in here. I said area equals 5 units on the base, that would be one thing, times 5 units on the height. That might be a little better, all right, 5 units on the height. Now when we separate 5 times 5, it shows up here, and units times units shows up here. Area equals 5 times 5 is 25, and units times units is units to the power 2. Aww. Remember, your teacher says box your answer. Yep. Well, we're going to find it right here, right? So we're going to circle this one. So 25 unit, this one says unit to the power 2 or units to the power 2. That doesn't matter. The power 2 is what matters because it's an area. Length times width is 2 dimensions, so therefore it's to the power 2. When we get to 3 dimensions, it'll be to the power 3. Given the following rectangle with base length 10 units, here's the base, 10 units, and height equal to 5 units, What's the perimeter? Okay, perimeter's distance around, start at a point, doesn't matter where you start. We're going 10, 15, 10 again is 25, and 5 again is 30. 30 units to the power 1 because it's a length. Perimeter is a length. All right, given the following rectangle with the same dimensions, 10 units, this equals 5 units. Here and here, they're telling us what's the area. All right, so area is based on height, or length times width. Doesn't matter what you call them, as long as you got a dimension here and dimension here. It's 2 dimensions. Multiply dimensions by each other. 10 units times 5 units. Remember, that could be feet or inches or meters. Doesn't matter. This is 5 times 10, right? 5 times 10 can be separated out. Units times unit can be separated out. And area equals 50. And units times units is units to the power 2. This behaves exactly like an x times an x, you guys. X times x equals x squared. Right? X times x equals x squared. Units times units equals units squared, or to the power 2. 50 units squared. Given the following, what's the perimeter? So start at a point. How far did we go? We went 9. How far did we go? We went 5. How far did we go? We went 9 again. How far did we go? We went 5 again. So 5 and 9 is 14. 14 and 9 is 23. 23 and 5 is 28. So we added them all up. We got 28 unit to the power 1. That's the perimeter. Power 1 because it's one-dimensional, it's a length. And you'll see us going back and forth between one-dimensional and two-dimensional. One-dimensional is perimeter. Two-dimensional is area. And then we haven't gotten there yet, but three-dimensional is volume. Given the following graph, what is the area? So now we've got this one. We know it's 9. We know it's 5. We can see the dimensions out here to 9, up here to 5. This one went out here to 9, right? We can see all these. This one went up here to 5, going from the origin 0, 0. We're going to take area equals base times height or length times width. Area equals the base is 9 units. Okay, let's call it units if we don't know. Put them in the actual calculation is going to help us visualize what's happening here with the math at least. 5 units in that dimension. What are the other names for the dimensions? This could be called the X or horizontal. This could be called the Y or vertical. 2 dimensions gives us the result for an area. So we have a 9 times 5 is 45, and we have a units times units is units to the power 2. So I cut a little corner. I didn't write that line in there. And I love it when students write out what they're doing. It helps me see what their brain is thinking. But on some level, you guys, if we've written this several times already, I'm going to start to write less as long as I can, sort of see what's going on pretty clearly here, right? So the amount of how much you write out in your comp book should be based on how many of these you've done. Once you start to do several of these, I'm on number 8, right? I got it at this point, right? It doesn't take that many before I can start to see it. Now, whether or not I remember it, that's a totally different issue. So, why are the units of perimeter raised to the power 1? Because it's one-dimensional. We've said that a lot of times. Why are the units raised to the power 2 of area? Because it's two-dimensional, as in base times height, or length times width, right? That's an area. And then 11, we can see it here. What are the common 3 dimensions used? So, and there's more than one answer can apply. Length times width times height, horizontal, vertical, depth. Length, width, say you've got one of these, right? A rectangular prism. Length, width, height, or we could think of this as, let's base it right here. This would be X. This would be Y, and this one here, you guys, would be Z. I don't even know if you've learned that the third dimension is Z yet, but look right here. And this would be now the expansion of the XY axis we use, the Cartesian coordinate system, to having that third dimension Z, which is what we're talking about here with 3 dimensions. If you can pull all this together and kind of see it from the big picture, it's going to help you a lot in these classes, all right? I know math can be very... I feel like students have fractional information running through their brains for math, and they can't quite piece it all together in a big picture. So match up the title of this. This is Geometry Semester 1, the 3rd unit called Area and Perimeter, and the 1st lesson called Area and Perimeter of Squares, Rectangles, Practice. It's on creatormath.com under the Geometry tab, and you might have to Google creatormath.weebly.com. Hope this helps.